Rarotonga is often described as one of the most beautiful islands in the Pacific. Rugged hills and deep valleys in the island center drop down to a small fringe of farmable land along the coast. With its beautiful white sandy beaches and turquoise blue waters, Rarotonga has become a popular tourist destination. Tourism accounts for an important part of Rarotonga's economy. The town of Avarua is the administrative and industrial center of both Rarotonga and the Cook Islands as a whole. The Cook Islands gained internal self-government in 1965, but it remains in free association with New Zealand. The Cook Islands plays an important role in regional affairs. In October 1988, it highlighted that role by hosting the 28th South Pacific Conference. The South Pacific Conference is an annual meeting of representatives from 27 governments and administrations of the Pacific region. Each year, the conference examines and adopts the work program and budget for the South Pacific Commission. The official opening of the 28th South Pacific Conference began with a traditional Cook Islands welcome. Each year, delegates of the 27-member governments and administrations of the Commission meet at the conference to discuss the Commission's work program and approve the budget for the following year. The conference also discusses other social and economic issues which face the region. The chairman of the conference, Minister for Foreign Affairs of the Cook Islands, Norman George, and the Secretary General of the South Pacific Commission, Palauni Tuasosopo, led the delegates to their seats for the beginning of the official ceremony. As the Secretary General of the Commission, Mr. Tuasosopo was the first to address the delegates.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am confident you will agree with me that each and every one of us who is a visitor to Cook Islands on the occasion of the 28th conference has felt the warmth of the Pacific welcome that has been extended to each and every one of us on our arrival by the people of Rarotonga and of Cook Islands. Needless to say, the accelerating rate of technical needs in development by the island countries, if they are to be satisfied, and must necessarily be paralleled by an adequate supply of resources to address those needs. I believe just as important, however, is the resolve to continue improving the capacity of our organization, not only to provide a conduit for the discussion of technical development issues at the regional level, but also having in place the appropriate institutional mechanism to develop and implement effectively and efficiently regional development programs that are identified through these regional discussions. The Pacific Island countries individually and the Pacific region as a group is continuously being subjected to pressures to accelerate development efforts from within and the need to take advantage of external factors that can further their development efforts. It is important to note that our Pacific Island communities are essentially rural in nature. As such, much of our development efforts are geared towards improving the lot of our rural communities. In almost all situations, our traditional island cultures and systems continue to play a vital role in the lives of our people. I believe, therefore, that it is important that we fully appreciate these traditions and as much as desirable, collaborate with those systems to enhance delivery of our services. I might note at this point that one of our most important programs that has catered directly to the upgrading of rural manpower has been the Community Education Training Center in Suva, Fiji. I am pleased to note that this year marks the 25th anniversary of faithful and effective service through the CETC.
Mr. Tuiasosopo also stressed the importance of seeking new sources of funding to supplement the Commission's expanding work program. The delegates were then addressed by the Prime Minister of the Cook Islands, Dr. Pupuke Robati.
In seeking to achieve this aim, my government recognizes the important role that South Pacific Commission has in helping us to reach that goal. What we in the Cook Islands and other island countries require is a more concerted effort by the South Pacific Commission in terms of identifying its strength and bringing them to bear on its work to our islands. There is a proverb from my home island, Rakanga, which goes like this: "Ia tu taki-taki o tau o pakui." It means that alone or individually, the weight of the load will be too much for one to carry. But if we put our shoulders together, and the load will be easier to carry. Each one of us here this morning knows that for our individual island countries to try to shoulder our individual burdens of development on our own would mean much slower progress for some and negative growth for others. We therefore look to you, Secretariat, Mr. Secretary General, to place your shoulders alongside those of our island countries and peoples in jointly shouldering our development burdens.
Dr. Robati finished his address by declaring the 28th South Pacific Conference officially open.
Of our organization at this gathering.
But an opening ceremony in Rarotonga is never complete without its famous traditional dancing. With the conference officially opened, the Edgewater Resort Hotel then played host to the delegates for the formal deliberations of the South Pacific Conference. The main issues at this conference were the proposal by the Forum Committee on regional institutional arrangements, the review by the Secretary General on the work program, and the theme for conference discussion entitled Health, a Cause for Concern.
Provisional agenda before you. Please peruse that, and upon being satisfied of it, we will then adopt it and proceed with the rest of the agenda items.
Before launching into the issues, however, the delegates used the opportunity to voice their support for the Commission's role in regional development.
The Republic is a staunch support.
Mr. Chairman, the Cook Islands continues to give its strong support to the South Pacific Commission, recognizing that the Commission plays a vital, catalytic role in social and economic development at the grassroots level throughout the entire South Pacific region.
Mr. Chairman, the South Pacific Commission has an important role to play in economic and social development of the region. Papua New Guinea supports the South Pacific Commission and its programs. We will also seek to play an active part in its activities based on national as well as regional interests.
Performance of the SPC on a number of fronts.
The Secretary General, in his review on the work program and budget, pointed out to delegates that, in order to meet growing needs, the work program itself had to grow.
your Secretariat over the immediate past years has found it necessary to implement or develop appropriate regional projects and programs that suitably address these needs. As a consequence, there has been an unavoidable requirement to build up and expand some areas of the work program, while occasionally there has also been the opportunity to reduce or eliminate SPC involvement in certain spheres of island development. An organization and method...
The Secretary General then highlighted the efforts the Commission was making to increase extra budgetary funding for these new programs by building closer ties with non-traditional donors.
Accounting and finance.
Thank you very much, Mr. Secretary General. Is there any comments from the floor? If not, we will move on to the next agenda item.
Morning and afternoon tea provided the much-needed opportunity for delegates to talk informally. It is often overlooked just how important these informal talks can be and how many of the conference's actual decisions get made here. But it is also a chance for delegates to renew old friendships or to begin new ones. Always an important agenda item are the statements by the delegates as to their country's assist and extra budgetary contributions for the next year.
And will contribute 1.5 million CFP francs to this program.
All members of the Commission indicate their country's contribution. This gives the Secretariat a chance to learn what extra budgetary funds they can expect in order to carry out the Commission's work program.
In addition, we can confirm that we will contribute New Zealand dollars 500,000 this year for extra budgetary support, and that we intend next year and the following year to plan to make the following, a similar type of contribution to the extra budgetary efforts of the Commission.
French Polynesia would like to contribute 1 million CFP francs to, as a contribution towards the youth program. Thank you.
The British government has already approved extra budgetary funding for 3 projects to a total value of over £150,000. These include plant protection, inshore fisheries and SPREP.
The United States will meet in full its 1989 contribution to the core budget. It will also contribute 600,000 US dollars, or about 750,000 Australian dollars in extra budgetary support.
The second Pacific Artists Interchange was also held during the conference. The first Artist Interchange was held at the 1987 conference in Noumea. Displays of art and crafts from throughout the region drew many of the delegates in for a closer look. Weavers, woodcarvers and painters all worked together for weeks, sharing their skills and their cultures. The artists came from nearly every island country in the region. From the Cook Islands, from American Samoa, Western Samoa, Vanuatu, Tonga, Palau, from Niue, Marshall Islands, Papua New Guinea, Tokelau, from Tuvalu, Federated States of Micronesia, Fiji, French Polynesia, from New Caledonia, Guam, and the Northern Marianas.
RGA this year.
Agenda item 20 brought up the issue of CRIA, the Committee on Regional Institutional Arrangements. First established by the South Pacific Forum in 1987, the aim of this committee was to develop a way for closer coordination and cooperation among regional organizations, governments, and institutions active in the region.
The partners who were...
Although the idea for closer coordination by regional organizations had been brought up many times before in past South Pacific conferences, the full implications of this committee for non-forum governments and administrations was called into question.
I would like to have some clarification on one aspect of this question. It is said here that there could be some form of dialogue on a sort of correspondence basis, and further, one also talks about a body responsible for implementing this dialogue, and I would like to know what relationship there will be between these two forms of dialogues.
A member of the Australian delegation, who was the chairman of CRIA at the forum meeting, responded.
In relation to the dialogue proposals, the forum has decided that a country or an organisation would be invited to a forum venue as a dialogue partner, and indeed that partner can only be invited. There is no way the forum would wish to demand that they attend or assert that they attend or insist that they attend. They would be invited on the basis of the issues which the forum would address at any particular time. Most significantly, though, I think, was the discussion that we had at the May CRGA meeting. On behalf of the committee, I gave the members the assurance that the views of the non-forum members would be taken fully into account by the committee, and that they would be taken sensitively into account by the committee.
After some discussion, the conference decided to refer the question of SPC's participation in the newly created South Pacific Organizations Coordinating Committee, or SPOCC, to the next CRGA meeting for consideration. But the conference wasn't all work. Nearly every evening the delegates took time off from the busy conference schedule to attend official receptions. Entertainment was also provided, here by members of the Te'iwi Maori Cultural Dance Group. Simply watching wasn't good enough for some of the delegates. They also wanted to show their style.
these non-transmissible diseases contain or consist.
The theme for conference discussion, Health, a Cause for Concern, began with the presentation of a paper by SBC epidemiologist Dr. Francois Bach.
This situation began to change in the 1960s with the emergence of non-transmissible diseases as the main cause of death in many countries of Polynesia and Micronesia. These non-transmissible diseases consist of hypertension, diabetes and cancer, mainly. These diseases are linked to evolution in lifestyles, urbanization in Pacific countries. The health department.
Several of the delegates also presented papers on health issues in their particular countries.
The government of Vanuatu has now adopted and implemented a policy to guarantee health for all the people of Vanuatu through equitable distribution of health, social and economic resources at all levels of our communities. There is a lack of qualified Vanuatu professional staff, and there thus exists a heavy reliance on expatriate officers.
In 1987, the Health Department launched a National Health Outreach Program as from April to December on alcohol and smoking and their effects on diabetes, high blood pressure and pregnancy. This program...
These country papers underlined the health problems common to many Pacific Island countries.
The rounding off stages was climaxed.
It is perhaps important for us also, I think, to look at the cost of some of these dietary changes and nutrition problems, costs which are high for small countries.
SBC nutritionist Dr. Jackie Babcock presented a paper which discussed the effect that changes in diet have had on the peoples and countries of the Pacific.
25% or more of total imports for many countries, and in some countries it's a higher percentage. The increasing number of premature deaths from non-communicable diseases like heart disease among professional men in the 30 to 50 year age group is a drain on a country's trained manpower resources.
As part of the conference's focus on health issues, the Commission's Health and Nutrition Program officers, along with some Cook Island health workers, set up a special health display at the Edgewater Resort. The display featured posters, pamphlets and booklets, all dealing with health problems in the Pacific. The display also featured a health monitoring demonstration. Here, volunteers had a small blood sample taken and tested for several nutritional deficiencies. The volunteers then had their weight and their height measured. This was followed by the measuring of their blood pressure. After all this, the information was fed into a computer. The result, a detailed printout showing the volunteer their risk of contracting non-communicable diseases such as diabetes or high blood pressure.
We are pleased to have the opportunity...
As the end of the agenda loomed ahead, delegates and observers alike were invited to give statements.
We genuinely believe the Commission's work program provides effective technical assistance to island member countries as they carry out their independent overall economic and social development plans, particularly in the areas of fisheries development, health education, nutrition, tropical agriculture, and human resources development.
The basis for my government's support in future for the South Pacific Commission is based on our belief and our faith in regional togetherness that comes from organizations such as the South Pacific Commission.
It is a matter of pride for us all members, countries and territories gathered here. The Commission is also dynamic in its achievements, and I would like to thank the Management Committee.
The South Pacific Commission is a very important organization where those countries who are playing relevant roles in the South Pacific region meet together and discuss how to achieve further economic development in the region. The government of Japan highly values its achievements and activities. The political, economic, and cultural diversity among the countries gathered here is truly striking, but it is this diversity which will bring about the fruitful result of regional cooperation in the South Pacific.
I'd like to again reaffirm our commitment, the people of the territory, and we have gotten an enormous amount of support in Guam.
I have no doubt that the South Pacific Commission, the doyen of South Pacific regional organizations, will continue to play its very important role in this work in the future. I can assure you of the United Kingdom's continuing support and encouragement.
The South Pacific Conference is for each and every one of us a happy annual opportunity to demonstrate our commitment to this institution.
What I would like to do at this stage simply, Mr. Chairman, is to congratulate the Secretariat and its program staff for the efforts that they have made over the past year to improve the delivery of effective and timely assistance in our region.
I hope that the Commission will continue to maintain that assistance to my country, and like previous speakers also, I confirm our commitment to the work and the future participation in any conference and the work that the Secretariat has in front of them.
I'm also happy to participate in the 28th SPC conference with the Secretary General, who was one of the members of American Samoa delegation in 1974 SPC conference. And probably few delegates...
But this was to be the Secretary General's last conference as head of the South Pacific Commission. In a letter to the conference chairman, the Secretary General offered his resignation.
It is rather my sad but necessary duty to inform you as current chairman of the South Pacific Conference that I intend to resign my commission as Secretary General of the South Pacific Commission effective from 31 December 1988. I have reached this decision after very serious thought. As a titled leader of my village and district, it is important that I return to my home in order to participate in the direction of the social, cultural, and economic development of my people and country.
The Secretary General then expressed his appreciation to the conference for their understanding and their continued friendship.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary General. I, as your conference chairman, wish to thank you all for the efficient and pleasant manner in which you have debated and deliberated over issues at this, the 28th South Pacific Conference. This organization was subjected to one of its severest tests of all time. The conference did the region proud by upholding the integrity and dignity of the organization.
The chairman also recognized the hard work and effort which the SPC Secretariat had put into the conference, because without the efficient translation and distribution of conference papers, or the quickly typed changes to the draft papers, or without the fast handling of travel and per diems, the conference would not have been the success it was. The conference had acted upon an impressive number of agenda items. Complex issues had been discussed, such as the proposal on regional institutional arrangements, as well as the Secretary General's resignation. It was also decided to hold the 29th South Pacific Conference in Guam.
Is a source of credit to yourselves and to the countries that you represent. Distinguished delegates and observers, I now adjourn this session, this 28th session of the South Pacific Conference, until we meet again in 1989 in Guam. Thank you all. Thank you very much.
tua Ua utia tawa I te papa ue maine Ei mua I te aroaro o te atua Nai taua e tatara e maine Maria na au ua orai Nai taua e tatara e maine Maria na au ua orai Kare koe ki